All right. This is Yokosoe. This is issue notification change at the USPTO. For some of our viewers, this is old news. Um, Here is the previous timeline. So previously, examiners would issue a notice of allowance, and then the applicant pays the issue fee within 3 months of the notice of allowance. Right, that's non-extendable. It has to happen or the application becomes abandoned. And after payment of the issue fee, the USPTO issues the issue notification. Um, it's I've been told in very rare circumstances it does not happen, but I've seen it. I've never seen it not happen. It always happens as far as I've seen. The timing of the issue notification can change, particularly if there are problems with that the examiner must fix. So it's internal at the USPTO, but typically the issue notification is received about 3 to 4 weeks after the issue fee payment. And then the US patent issues about 3 weeks after the no issue notification. And so the time between the issue payment of the issue fee and issuance is about 7 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks. And US patents always issue on Tuesdays. 火曜日よ. So on April 15th, the USPTO announced the time between the issue notification and the issue date will be typically reduced from 3 weeks to 2 weeks. I think the issue notifications can issue on any day, not just Tuesday, 火曜日, but the issue date will always be a Tuesday. The link for this announcement is here at the bottom of the slide. And the USPTO says that the change is effective from May 13th. They don't say whether the issue notifications or the issue dates will change from May 13th. Presumably, this is the issue notifications. So so again, this is the current timeline. What is the change? This is the only part that's changing. これだけ. Now, the patent will issue 2 weeks after the issue notification, not 3. So what are the effects of this? It's a small change. There's not a lot that happens after payment of the issue fee from the applicant's perspective. The only things that happen really are maybe you will continue to file an information disclosure statement, and maybe you will file a continuation application. You're probably not going to do anything else, right? Because, for example, if you wanted to file a petition or an amendment under 1.312, you would have done this here at payment of the issue fee, not afterwards. So let's talk about the IDS first. This is the one that the USPTO points to in their announcement. The USPTO says that the change in the issue date may help applicants avoid filing a quick path information disclosure statement. Some people call it QPIDS, but the cute name is Cupids. Cupids is used to have a timely filed IDS considered by the examiner after payment of the issue fee. And in this case, and this program is described at this link at the bottom of the slide. In this case, timely filed is very significant. The reason is that an IDS is considered timely if it's filed within 3 months from the date when a relevant person first became aware of the information in the IDS. Okay. This is not a seminar about this portion. You can easily have a 1 hour seminar about this one statement very easily. It's very complicated. Um, what's a relevant person? That's like US Patent Attorney Toka, Benrishi Toka, Chizai Bunin Toka. But it's not a paralegal. Okay, paralegals don't have this obligation to submit information. Inventors also Toka have to submit this information. And the reason I'm mentioning this is not because of the 3 month rule, but just that this one change we're discussing today, does not affect IDSs that are not timely, right? If you've had it for 4 months and haven't submitted it, you already cannot submit it unless you file an RCE. This change does not impact your ability to file an RCE as long as you file it before the patent issues. And so I guess you have less total time. Only people that are trying to file timely will be impacted by this because they will have less time. So let's look at an example. The notice of allowance issues January 1st. We wait the full 3 months to pay the issue fee on April 1st. Maybe our issue notification issues May 1st. It's about 4 weeks later. The patent now issues on May 15th. Previously, the patent would have issued on May 22nd. Okay. So when does this become relevant, or for whom does this become very relevant? Well, the USPTO points to this situation. The JPO office action is for the corresponding application is received on May 16th. Obviously, because the patent now issues May 15th, there's no need to file the JPO office action. Okay. Previously, you could have filed it and should have filed it between this May 16th to May 21st, really, window. Even May 21st might not catch it in time. Um, but that's the fact pattern. There's no, we're moving it forward. You don't have to file this office action anymore because the patent just issues instead. All right, let's look at a different fact pattern. Now, if your JPO office action is received March 1st, well, this is going to have a negative impact on you because you have 1 week less to file the IDS submitting the JPO office action, right? If it's filed on March 1st, you have the timely filed IDS can be filed typically until June 1st. However, because the issue fee is paid here and this timeline is independent, you have to file it by May 15th, before the patent issues. Previously, you would have had until May 22nd, which is when the patent would have issued. You have 1 week less now. So what's the effect? Well, basically, if the applicant receives information within about 11 weeks prior to issuance, right? This is that example in the previous slide. The applicant has 1 week less in which to submit a Cupid's filing. You should still do it. Arguably, you have to do it. But it has to be done in 1 week less time. But the benefit of this, that's the bad part about this change. The benefit of this change is that the applicant no longer needs to disclose information that would have been received within the last week of patent pendency, right? That last week you don't have to submit anymore. It would have been difficult anyway. What's the net effect? Well, it seems like it's going to decrease patent quality, right? Because it's more difficult to submit. There's a lot more information that might be issued in this 11 weeks that might be issued in this 1 week. There's a greater risk that this won't be submitted now, so less information will come in to the USPTO. They'll have less information. It could decrease patent quality. I don't see how it will improve patent quality. Certainly, it will help people get more value. They'll receive their patent sooner. I imagine that many ethical manufacturers in the pharmaceutical industry will be happy about this change. They can receive their patents sooner. But in something like semiconductors or software, maybe they're not as happy about this. Especially software, maybe they're not as happy. The other big change, this is the one that most of the patent attorneys are discussing, is follow-on applications. In other countries, we just have divisionals. In the United States, we distinguish between continuation applications and divisionals. Pardon me. And of course, those must be filed no later than the date the patent issues. So the Tuesday on which the patents issue, you can file a continuation or divisional. But on that Wednesday, you cannot. Um, Suyobi. You can't do it. Suyobi dekinai. So because the issue date has moved up 1 week, applicants have 1 week less to file follow-on applications, right? You still have, you can do it. Um, but that's going to require an adjustment because you can either complete the follow-on application 1 week sooner, right? And by complete, I mean, draft up a new set of claims, update any of the paperwork that needs to be changed, maybe because we're claiming a different embodiment, we need to change the inventorship, maybe we have to file an additional assignment or something, whatever it is, update the application data sheet. We have 1 week less to do it, or we file what we call a placeholder application for additional time. We commonly call these no-fee applications because they're filed without governmental fees. Of course, you have to pay governmental fees in the USPTO, the basic fee, search fee, examination fee. And if you don't, typically you'll receive a notice to file missing parts saying that the USPTO will not even accept your application until you pay it. You get extension. That gives you a 2 month period to reply. It's extendable 5 times. I'm not suggesting that you extend it 5 times, but it's certainly possible. And in that time, you can draft your claims for a preliminary amendment, most notably. Right, that's a big deal for continuation applications, particularly since we have less time now to file the application. The problem, though, is that the USPTO does not allow you to, they'll accept the application for free. You don't have to pay fees. In fact, if you choose not to file a continuation, it's great that you did this because you had the option. You preserved the option, and then you had more time to make a decision not to do it. Maybe your U.S. firm charges a service fee, but there's no governmental fees for no fee for no fee continuation, or no fee divisional until you pay those fees, the governmental fee. And once you pay the governmental fee, you also have to pay a surcharge. So you end up paying more money, but you get this extra week of time. And you actually get 2 months of time as well because the period for reply is 2 months to draft your new. Um, Actually, I guess you don't get a week and 2 months. You get 2 months, um, of which 1 week you would have received previously. So you've got two months from the filing of the continuation application to draft the claims for your preliminary amendment, pay these governmental fees, pay this surcharge. And I think that's what applicants are going to do. I think that, there's a fair argument to be made that this is a way for the USPTO to generate additional fees because already many applicants um, are so busy that they can't file a timely preliminary amendment with the application. Um, and so they're going to have to file these no fee, more no fee applications to get more time. Um, because I think a lot of Chisai Buin and Ben Rishi are already too busy. And so this is just going to make them busier unless you file no fee continuations. And you now have less time. That's it. Thank you very much. You know how to reach me. Uh, ありがとうございます. Oops.